What if your emotions are not who you are, but simply colors passing through the mind? Every moment of anger, joy, fear, desire, or peace may be revealing something far more precise about how your mind actually works. And once you see those hidden forces clearly, you may never experience your emotions in quite the same way again. Welcome to Session 4 of this journey into the architecture of the mind. In the previous session, we explored the relationship between Citta, the knowing mind, and Rupa, the material world. We used the image of a mirror to understand how consciousness knows the world. But that leaves us with a deeper question. If consciousness is simply the one that knows, where do anger, joy, greed, fear, and peace come from? Before we go deeper, there is one important mindset to bring with you. You do not need to memorize unfamiliar Pali words. You do not need to collect concepts like facts for an exam. Simply follow the meaning, notice what it points toward, and allow the experience to become clear. Because today, we are moving directly into the second pillar of this system. And by the end of this video, you will understand why the mind can know the same world, yet experience it in completely different ways. And later, we will uncover the subtle reason why recognizing a mental state can weaken its grip on you. To understand emotion, we first need to return to Citta. At its most fundamental level, Citta simply knows an object. It sees what is seen, hears what is heard, thinks what is thought, and knows what appears. Think of Citta as pure, transparent water. The water itself has no fixed emotional color. It is simply capable of receiving whatever enters it. In the same way, the basic function of consciousness is simply to know. The knowing that experiences a beautiful sunset is still knowing. The knowing that notices an itch is also still knowing. The basic function has not changed. What changes is the quality, the tone, the flavor of the experience. That changing quality is where we encounter Cetasika. Cetasika means mental factors, the qualities that arise together with consciousness and shape the experience of each moment. Think of consciousness as clear water, and Cetasikas as the colors mixed into it. The water knows the object. The color changes how that knowing feels. According to the Abhidhamma analysis, a Cetasika arises with consciousness, shares the same object, and disappears when that moment of consciousness ends. Imagine a flame and its light. You can distinguish them conceptually. But when the flame appears, its light appears with it. In the same way, consciousness and its accompanying mental factors arise together as one functioning event. This means a moment of experience is never as simple as a single, isolated mind observing the world. It is a coordinated event, a moment of knowing, feeling, recognizing, attending, reacting, and responding. And here is where the Abhidhamma becomes surprisingly precise. It identifies 52 Cetasikas, or 52 different mental factors. Think of them like 52 possible ingredients in the kitchen of the mind. Different combinations create completely different inner experiences. Some factors are universal, meaning they appear in every ordinary moment of consciousness. For example, Phassa, or contact, is the moment an experience makes contact with the mind, like a doorbell being pressed. Something has arrived at the door of awareness. Then there is Vedana, or feeling. This does not simply mean emotion. It means the basic tone of experience: pleasant, unpleasant, or neutral. Like the first taste of food before you decide whether you want more of it or not. Other mental factors appear only in particular states, and these are the colors that can completely transform the same moment of knowing. Lobha, often translated as greed or attachment, is the mental movement of holding on. It is like your hand refusing to release an object, even when holding it no longer helps you. Dosa, often translated as aversion or anger, is the mental movement of pushing away. It is like instantly recoiling from something the mind has judged as unwanted. The object may remain exactly the same, but when different mental factors arise, your entire experience of that object can change. This is the first major insight. You do not experience reality exactly as it is. You experience reality as consciousness, and mental factors constructed together. And this ancient analysis has an interesting parallel in modern psychology and neuroscience. Modern psychology shows that the brain does not simply record reality like a camera. It constantly interprets, predicts, evaluates, and gives meaning to what it encounters. Imagine hearing a sudden sound in the dark. The sound itself is only an event, but almost instantly the mind begins asking, "What was that? Is it dangerous? Should I pay attention?" In psychology, this process is often described through attention, perception, appraisal, and emotional response. The interesting parallel is not that Abhidhamma and neuroscience are saying exactly the same thing. They are different systems of explanation, but both invite us to look beneath the simple story that we merely see the world and react to it. Something much more complex is happening between the event and your experience of it, and this brings us to one of the most liberating ideas in the entire teaching. When anger arises, the mind usually says, "I am angry." When sadness arises, it says, "I am sad." But the Abhidhamma invites us to examine that sentence more carefully. Instead of saying, "I am anger," you can observe, anger is present. Instead of saying, "I am fear," you can observe, fear is present. This is not about suppressing emotions or pretending they do not exist. It is about seeing them as conditions that arise, change, and eventually disappear, like clouds moving across an open sky. The clouds are real as experiences, but they are not the sky itself. In the same way, a mental factor may be present without becoming your permanent identity. This is the power of recognition. The moment you clearly see a state as a state, you create a little space between awareness and identification, and in that space, there is freedom. You stop being completely absorbed by the color and begin to recognize the water beneath it. That does not mean life becomes emotionless. It means emotions can be experienced without automatically becoming a prison. This is where observation becomes the beginning of freedom. So let us return to the original question. If consciousness is the clear water, what creates the colors? The Abhidhamma calls these changing qualities Cetasikas, mental factors. They shape the tone of experience, moment after moment. Some bring clarity, some bring attachment, some bring aversion, some bring calm, compassion, or wisdom. And none of these states need to become the permanent answer to the question, who am I? Because what you call yourself may be far more fluid than it appears. Moment by moment, consciousness arises with different conditions, and the colors change. The practice begins when you learn to notice the colors without immediately becoming them, and perhaps that is the beginning of a deeper kind of freedom. So far, we have explored consciousness, mental factors, and the material world. But there is still one question remaining. Is there a reality that is not another changing color, another passing mental state, or another physical form? Is there something beyond the conditioned dance of mind and matter? In the next session, we explore the fourth pillar, Nibbana, not as a place to imagine, but as a concept that challenges everything we assume about reality. Until then, notice the colors, and remember, you may be far more than the state passing through your mind right now.